So hi everyone. Yeah, we're going to be interviewing Nikash John. He co-founded a company called BetterSustainable.co. He's pursuing his law degree in Christ University, and his company sells biodegradable toothbrush and cotton swabs, and which is available for shipping across India and available in select stores in Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, and Vellore. So hi Nikash, and Johan will ask the next few questions.
Hi Sanjay, thank you so much.
Hi, Nikash.
Yeah, hi
So,
Johan.
my first question for you is like, how did you come up with this idea, and like, how did sustainability turn out to be the base for it?
Okay, so essentially the idea came from the idea was to start a business actually. So either while college or after college, but then because of the lockdown, I had ample free time with me. So we were just me and another friend of mine, like we were thinking of various ideas. We had a multiple ideas actually, and we were finding what would be feasible with our funds. And I stumbled across an article in the UK actually where I saw a similar product of bamboo toothbrushes, and then I checked the availability in India and the market. And then with it did need a lot of investment to start off with. So that's how it started. And for many reasons. One, we wanted to start a business. It could be any business. We had multiple ideas. This seemed to be the best idea because of the growing market, and also it was because we were doing something good for the environment. It was a really nice gesture, something we really enjoyed and protect the environment and being responsible. So that's how it started. That's how the idea started. And sustainability as a base, it just happened to be like, okay, how can we start a company which has good values? Like, how can we start a
Right.
company which actually provides for the society, not only to a customer, but also to the planet? Like, how can we help all parties involved? So that's how we decided, like, having sustainability as a core concept.
Nice. Oh, really nice. So,
Yeah.
my next question for you is like, what motivated you? Like, what were your initial struggles?
Okay, so what motivated me in my initial struggles? So motivation was, I think, like no one in my family actually does business. I have no business ties in my
Nice.
family, but
Okay. Okay.
growing up in school, there were a lot of my friends' families were into business.
Mm-hmm.
I shifted in my family. I'm probably the only one who shifted into the commerce stream as early as possible. And
Right.
from then, while I was doing law, I'm also doing, so my course is BBLLB. So there's a lot of
Right.
management
Right.
also involved. So I was, so just from there, like just listening to various case studies of people and just
Mm-hmm.
the sense of doing something for yourself, having something to call your own. So that was the idea of
Right.
starting a business essentially, like just having something for your own, something to call your own. And initial struggles, we had quite a lot of struggles while starting the company. First thing
Mm-hmm.
was obviously funding. So
Mm.
we had some little struggles for funding, but we managed to pull through. And later on, we had a lot of being from the legal side, we could manage with all the law requirements, all the legal requirements, all the paperwork. But
Right.
then when it came to filing of taxes and getting a place of office, it became a bit complicated, but we somehow worked things through. Like, so when we finished our registration, all we were supposed to file taxes every month, tax returns. So initially, I thought, okay, fine, probably we can do it ourselves. And I tried looking at it, and it was really complicated. Like, I was like, okay, I would not be able to file tax every returns when college is completely on and all of that. So there were little technical difficulties, and like that's most of it.
Nice. Nice. But Nikash, I think personally is you're doing a really great job.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Nikash.
Yeah.
So, Nikash, my questions are like, how did you find investors and workforce for this?
Okay. So okay, fine. So that's an interesting question, right? So investors, essentially, we have like four or five people investing. So I really didn't want to borrow any money from my parents. It was mostly, it started with my savings and my friend's savings, but that wasn't enough. We hadn't saved enough to like probably start a company. Like, so I didn't mind involving someone in the family, but I didn't want to involve my parents per se. So I asked my grandfather to invest. I had another uncle who heard about the company and he just willingly invested. I didn't even ask him for investment actually. He was just like really happy I was doing something, I guess, and he pushed in some more money. And since then, for our new product and everything else, we've been just recycling the profits we've been earning to like keep growing. That's most of our investment. So, and our workforce, we split it like by ourselves, we do as much as we can. So, like I answered previously, so when we found out for our registration, we did it through a third party. We didn't employ anyone. When we found out taxation would be pretty difficult doing it month after month, we got an accountant. So that we just like found it from a third party. But essentially, they help for like other packaging and all. We take help from few of our akkas at home, and we just pay them separately. Like we take help from some of our akkas that help us in packing, and we just pay them separately when they help us assembling the products and all. So it's just mostly some people from the household and my Naren and myself. And we take a lot of help from a lot of friends actually in helping design. I have a friend who, when I'm too busy to do the billing, she's not part of the company per se, but I call her up and ask her to do the billing for us. A lot of friends do help out, and yeah, that's most of it.
And so, what are your marketing techniques, and how are you trying to expand your customer base?
Okay, so we are still working on expanding customer bases. We're still trying to find the right customers. So we are looking at who is the best customer for us. Is it the individual himself? Would it be better selling it to a hotel or to a airline? Or so we're still trying to find out who are the best consumers. So far we found selling to an individual is best for us as of now, because we're not able to compete with the prices of hotels and airlines or other things where we could probably offer a service. So we this is how we market, right? So we market on few things. So we have our social media marketing, which is our Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, the basics. Whenever we put up the product in any store, we make it a point to give them a stand. So we make sure our stand has our name of a brand, like a sticker above our stand in big bold letters. Our brand name is there. So probably eye catching to any of the customers. And another technique we used for marketing was, so I don't know if you've seen our product, our packaging for our toothbrushes. So
Yeah.
it comes in. You've seen it. I have one here. I'll just get it for you. Yeah. So this is our packaging, right? This is what the toothbrush comes in.
Yeah.
So our idea behind the pouch was, um, essentially when you buy a toothbrush, you throw away your cover. It comes in a plastic thing. You throw it away, and doesn't matter. So when we gave it, so I mean, if you notice, like you look at the companies like Kevinter's and Frozen Bottle, what did they do? They had the glass bottle and no one wanted to throw the bottle away. They want to take it home and use it for something else. They want to store either, I don't know, drink water from it or store some seeds or anything, right? Like people found a way to reuse the packaging of Frozen Bottle and Kevinter's and all that. So we thought we'd do something similar. We wanted our packaging to be reusable. So we decided we'll have a cotton pouch. So we didn't want you to throw away the packaging. We want you to keep it and reuse it. So we would tell people, I use it as a travel kit. So when you're traveling, you can put in your toothbrush, your toothpaste, your face wash also will put in it. The pouch is pretty broad. Or we said at home, if you want to like just put your watch or even your glasses, like you want to store your glasses in a pouch or something, just if you want a spare pouch. So we want people to reuse it. So our idea was, if people keep reusing the pouch, it keeps getting rich in the head. Okay, they keep seeing the logo again and again. So it stays in their mind. If someone else comes to your house and they look at the pouch lying around in your room, they'll be like, what is that? We told people, if you want you to wipe the screen of your laptop also, we don't care. As long as you're going to reuse it somehow, as long as it's not going to go for waste, as long as you don't throw it. So eventually it would register in your mind, because you're going to keep seeing the same brand every other day in your head. You're going to see the packaging every day, whether it's in your kitchen, on your dressing table for your glasses, while traveling. So we thought, so that's just free marketing, right? Because you see our pouch every other day, it stays in your head. Okay, fine. So probably next time when you go, you might remember us and think, okay, fine, this is what they do. So that was one of our ideas of marketing with our packaging.
Yeah, great marketing strategy, to be honest. I think it's working out really well. So the next question is, bro, we know that sustainability is a very well-selling theme these days, because, a lot of companies are switching towards sustainable products, biodegradable products, and it's having a pretty good market. I mean, if you think about it. So what do you think about the competition your company is facing from the, arising industries and the industries that are already present who are switching towards, sustainable products?
Okay, so that's really interesting. So it sustainability could be way bigger than it already is actually. Like, yeah, it is a big market, it's a growing market, but it has a lot more potential. Even before I entered the industry, I obviously looked at reports on how the market is. Like, I mean, I didn't know of a bamboo toothbrush in India until I started searching, and there were multiple companies. So there is a decent amount of competition, and we are in a really tough spot, right? Like, Colgate can launch a better toothbrush at half our price and take over tomorrow. Johnson and Johnson can do it with the earbuds. So it's so we the competition is really tight. We had to do a lot of trust based and all. So there are many other companies in India. So our USP is mainly other bamboo toothbrushes, right? They still sell with nylon bristles. If you look at it, they tell you our base is biodegradable, but the bristles aren't. So we found a supplier who giving us bristles which are biodegradable. So that's how we stood out from everyone else. And with our packaging also, we were like, we give you a completely 100% sustainable product because we don't throw away our packaging. You can reuse it. So that's so our competition is actually there is a decent amount of competition in India and more so in the European market actually. Like our country sadly is still not on the sustainable drive. There was a notification 3 days back of banning plastic and banning plastic paper cups and one-time use plastic equipment. I think 3 days back the government came out with a notification. One of the products the government was seeking to ban was the earbuds because it's use and throw. You use it once and you throw it, and there's a lot of plastic involved. And the plastic on this is extremely small. You can't recyclable. It's not recyclable. So not much actually gets recycled. So now post notification companies would be shifting like your Tubeless, your Johnson earbuds. I'm pretty sure they will make a shift. And so there are and there are a lot of smaller brands also, sustainable brands in our country. It's quite an upcoming industry. People do want to be more sustainable. Companies are looking at it. I don't know if companies are looking at it for the image or they really want to be sustainable, but a lot of companies are moving forward. But you would also notice a lot of people are still not ready for the change. It is still a lot of people are still not ready to go they wouldn't want to have the price cut. They would still prefer a cheaper toothbrush, even though just for the price, even though it's harmful for the environment. A lot of people are still not there yet in the thinking of okay, if I must do something for the planet or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So the next question is, so all of us are going through a hard time. It's a pandemic right now. So I just want to ask, how was your company business able to adapt to the pandemic? How were the results during the pandemic? Were you guys able to pick up the sales, or how did it turn out to be?
Okay, so I cannot tell you any information on how it would have been if not for the pandemic because our entire company has run through the pandemic, right? We started in the middle of the pandemic. We have been going through it through the pandemic. So we started when the first wave was on the probably reducing was when we started, but we've had a lot of issues because of the pandemic. So as a new company, right? So they will tell you this social media marketing is the next best thing. You need to have a social media account, and that's all true. But nothing beats personal interaction. If I walk up to you and I tell you this is the product, this is what it is way more than just a post on social media. The personal interaction at the end of the day is more, right? Like anyone prefers the more personal touch. We couldn't do that because of the pandemic. Like people are not ready to meet people. We could not go out to stores and talk to people. So if you look at many major companies, even Dell and Dyson or whatever, they all started through door-to-door marketing. They would go on door-to-door knock. This is our product. We couldn't do it because we don't know whether people will be ready to they're who's the stranger coming during the pandemic? Like we are not welcoming strangers. So that was one issue which we faced because we couldn't really go door to door. We have done it in small cases, like in my apartment building, in my neighborhood, I've gone door to door and hi auntie, this is me. I live in this apartment. This is my company. Is what I started. So that's how but we couldn't do it on a large scale. Like we couldn't go into probably it's a huge city, right? Like Chennai, India, Bangalore. It's a huge place, but you couldn't really go door to door because, like, one, my parents are pretty scared. Like, what if you contract the virus? Two, what would people think? Like, who is this stranger? Like, they're not ready, like, to
Yeah.
accept us and like open their doors to like things. So that was one hard thing we faced. Like, we couldn't. So the plan is still there to do door-to-door marketing once everything clears out. Hopefully soon. Like, I mean, I'm vaccinated, Naren's vaccinated, but we don't know about the person who we are going to meet,
Yeah.
and that is one of the issues. The second issue we faced because of COVID was probably when we approached a lot of stores, right, to put up a product. The stores which declined us, one of the reasons was we still have a lot of stock left. We don't have space for your product because we were shut down for 6 months because of COVID. We have a lot of stock left. Come back to us in 2 months was their response. So COVID has like kept a lot of stock and inventories there in stores. So we are waiting for those to clear out. And another thing is now these stores are getting less customer walk-in. So
Yeah.
there are less customer walk-in. So not many people are not going to stores. They are like sitting at home and ordering online. And so because of that, even like our department stores are like, we have less customer walk-in. Give us some time and then we'll get back to you. So those were some of the grounds on which we got rejected in few
We
stores
actually
because of
hope,
COVID primarily.
we actually hope this phase passes and you're able to do, door-to-door marketing hopefully
Ye-
soon.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and
hopefully.
hopefully, yeah. So coming to the end of the interview, the last question is: do you plan on, bringing up new products? Like now we are focusing on cotton swabs and toothbrushes. Anytime soon, are you planning to bring up, new products in your line?
Yeah, so actually the cotton swabs is the second product we bought, right?
Yeah.
Our idea was actually to our idea was to actually launch tooth powder actually after our toothbrushes. It made more sense to us. Like, I'm selling a toothbrush, the next thing has to be tooth powder, right? Like, we couldn't sell toothpaste because toothpaste comes in a plastic tube. There's a lot of plastic wastage. So we thought in tiny glass jars we would sell tooth powder, but this was our issue. A lot of people will not switch to tooth powder. Like, they're not ready to change from paste to
Yeah.
powder, even though you tell them it's more sustainable. They will buy your toothbrush. They'll say, okay, we will switch our toothbrush, but we will not take a powder for paste. We don't like the powder feeling. We don't like the powder taste. So we scrapped that idea and like, okay, what are people comfortable with? Like, we want people to change, and we know change is really hard, right? Like, no one wants to like take
Yeah.
effort and change. Like, people are very averse to change, right? So we were like, okay, what are people comfortable changing with? So we found earbuds was something they were comfortable to change with. Like, okay, fine, they do not mind using a wooden earbud, a bamboo earbud instead of a plastic one.
Okay.
So we realized, okay, fine. So it's easier. So we are looking at products which which people don't feel the difficulty in changing. We don't want to make it extremely difficult to people. Okay, like how can we make it easier for you? What is sustainable and easy? So we were considering. So we have quite a few products we're considering actually, but it's going to take a really long amount of time. We looked at a range of products. Hopefully by the December for Christmas, we are planning to have our next set of products. We are looking at probably bags, like to reduce the plastic bag issue. We are looking at cloth bags, canvas bags, and we have a few set. We are planning to sell also like seeds and like try to promote gardening at home and just small sort of like like people have like it's quite common nowadays, people going to nurseries buying plants to like beautify their home, but along with beautifying, like it has a lot of good lot of pros for the environment. So we are trying to promote also that, like trying to probably we are looking into seed balls also, but our primary focus is still on the earbuds and the toothbrushes. This is like side things to like just increase our inventory. So to just like give more options to customer. But our primary focus is on personal care products, which are not yet accessible to customers. That's what we're trying to increase as now.
So, Nikash, we've come towards the end of the interview. I mean, it was great listening to you, and thank you so much for taking time out
Thank
from your
you.
schedule. I know you have college going on and all the work from the company too. So it was great meeting you. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and also
Thank
talking
you.
about
Thank you.
how important it is to use sustainable products, which is really important for the future. So thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.